Hey guys, we got to catch up with Sage Kimzey, two-time world champion, the king of the PRCA bull riders. We're at Spanish Fork. He's flying out tonight. Tomorrow morning, go back to Salinas. He's making the short round there, and then on to Cheyenne. But we're going to ask some questions about bull riding and see if he can help us out a little bit. All right, Sage, you're definitely one of the top bull riders that's ever come along. What is your goal?
My goal is to be remembered as the best ever inside the arena, and to do that, I'd have to win 9 world titles. There was one year Donnie Gay actually should have won the world, but they changed, who won the world title based on NFR, the NFR championship that year. So my goal is 10.
How long ago did you first start getting on bulls?
I grew up in a rodeo family, so I started getting on sheep and calves when I was 4 or 5 years old. Just kind of progressed through the ranks from calves on the steers and junior bulls, and I started getting on open bulls when I was about 15.
What do you attribute your success to?
All I've ever wanted to do is be a professional cowboy and a professional bull rider. Ever since I was 4 years old, that's all I eat, sleep, and breathe. That's all I wanted to do. And staying motivated for that long, anybody that dedicates 17 years of their life to something ought to be pretty good at it. Most people have to look for daily motivation or some reason to keep doing what they're doing. That's just not the case for me in bull riding. I love every part of it. Something that I've always heard of and really stuck with me throughout all the years was just, anything worth doing is worth doing well. And I definitely take that approach to my career in bull riding and life in general. My favorite bull to draw probably would be Kojak from the Championship for Rodeo. I won a round at the NFR on him, and I rode him again this year and placed really good at Licking, Missouri, and he's just the dream draw. He's pretty easy, but big scores always.
What's a bull that most guys are scared to get on?
There's a bull of flying use called Durango that's out right now, and I got on him in Reno short round. He's pretty dirty for sure, weighs about 1,900 pounds. He's a big boy to be jerking on your arm for sure.
What's the bull tonight you have?
A young bull of Frontiers, 832 Dark Knight. He's never been out at a pro rodeo, but I called Heath Stewart about him. He said, just a really good young bull. Round of the ride, I should have a shot to win a rodeo on him, so I like doing that.
Well, it seems like if you're entered, you have a shot to win the rodeo.
Depending on the bull I draw, for sure. I like my chances. My riding percentage has been really high this year, and it's been a fun ride for sure.
Do you keep tabs on yourself, your riding percentage?
I definitely do. That's one of my goals starting out. I like to break down my goals whenever I start the year into very tangible, measurable things. And my goal for this year is to ride 70% of my bulls and ride all 10 of them at the NFR. And that brings me to my end goal of being the world champion. I don't think there's any way if I do that, then I won't win the world title.
So after 10 days of getting on the rankest bulls in the world, what do you do?
After 10 days, we're all beat up, we're all tired, we're all sore, just emotionally, spiritually, physically drained.
Yeah.
Just get room service and absolutely sleep for an entire day after round 10's over.
Who are some of the bull riders in the past you look up to?
That was the greatest thing about my dad, being so involved with professional rodeo. As I grew up around all the greats, of every era, because he rodeoed in the 70s all the way up to 2000. So it's, I got to be around all those guys. Cody Custer's helped me out a lot. Gary LeFew has been instrumental. Donnie Gay, obviously. Clay Taylor from right there around the house. He had practice bulls for me to get on whenever I was growing up and in high school and everything. And he really helped me out a lot. Got me on good practice bulls that I could really learn on that still tested me.
Why don't you give a shout out to your sponsors and who helped you go down the road?
Wrangler's been behind me since day one. I definitely want to shout out them. Long Live Cowboys for sure. New sponsor this year, Bloomer Trailers, and they custom fabricate the best trailers in my opinion. The MGM Grand, it's the home of champions. 7X Ranches and Cute Energy Service. They're been a great supporter, Benny Cute and the gang. Championship for Rodeo. They're great, and of course Ruffy. They're they got the coolest caps and outerwear. Coming out with all new backpacks and swimwear, maybe even some rigging bags. Really looking forward to that.
Give us a little rundown of what it takes, like before you get on a bull, how you put your hand in there and the wraps you take.
The widely known thing about bull riding is that we don't have too much help staying on. All all we're tied in on is just a deerskin glove and a poly rope. I ride with a Brazilian style, which it just means it pulls from the other side of my hand. I started riding with one of those my junior year of high school, and definitely the rosin to give a little bit of stick. Marcelo Nunez makes my rope. You just put your hand in right there. It's just a personal guy's preference how far you actually put it in. I like to line it up right about with like my callus line on my hand right there. And whenever you go to take your wrap, you just lay it across like that. And like I said, an American will come from the other side. Brazilian comes just like that. And I try to lay that first one just flat right there. And whenever I come back around, just make sure that wrap's tight behind there. And really just kind of tuck it under my handle right there. That way when I roll up and actually start riding, it kind of keeps a little bind on it to where my hand doesn't ever drop out of my rope.
How tight do you like them to pull your bow rope?
I like mine pretty tight. I don't want there to be any question whether it's going to move any direction or not. Little bigger bulls might pull a little less rope in them because they have a little more power, and that rope will give just a little bit to where they're not sending it just straight up your arm. I have, one pretty stout guy pull my rope to start out with, and then I'll just help him out and give a bottom, and that seems to keep it to where it's snug enough to where it will never move on me.
What are a few things you focus on before you knot?
I read a lot of positive mental attitude books and a lot of peak performance books. I just try to really focus on clearing the mechanisms where I'm not actually thinking about anything right before I knot, and I'll just let my reaction time take over. Because bull riding, you're looking at, an inch costing you so much in a split second. You just, the training's all done at the house, and then whenever we come out here, it's just performing to the best of our ability for sure.
What's a book you can tell young bull riders to get that you really like?
There's a few of them. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz is probably the easiest step-by-step process that you can dive into. That's a pretty easy read, and it really breaks it down step by step. It was kind of like the first real mental training book.
How the brain works.
Yeah, it definitely was like the first book of that, and it's still really great. You're looking at a sport, like I said, an inch can cost you absolutely everything in a split second, because any second doubts, any fear, anything, and you're on the ground. Physically tolling, yes it is, but as far as brute strength, it's more of a chess match, and to have your mind in that right frame of mind before you get on one, I'd say that's probably the most important thing.
Hey, this is Casey Jones. We've been working real hard on creating all the content for these last few videos. If you would help us out, please go to youtube.com, search for Rodeo Sports Promotions, and click on the link subscribe. And if you're already on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button. Thanks.